Space, the final frontier. Well, okay, not really. All right, take two. Here in the Mitten State, welcome to Code 47, bringing you all things Star Trek, spanning the quadrants, the best thing since the neutral zone.
Hey friends, we're back again. It's episode 95 of the Code 47 podcast on the Secret Friends Podcasting Network. I am Charlie Carden, your humble servant, Trek Lord of West Michigan, back from the Star Trek cruise. If you're watching us on YouTube, I'm wearing this authentic poncho I got in Mexico, but still trekking it up. I did do a rare costume error, move my badge over to the other side because otherwise it's blocked by my microphone, but I really wanted you to get the full effect. And I'm in my new studio, which I was last time, but continue to absorb. I'm going to keep working on it. But enough about me. I'm joined, as always, by my absolutely fantastic co-captains on this voyage of trekking. That would be Peter Stein. Peter, good afternoon.
Hey, everybody.
And the fantastic Kay. Kay, what's going on?
Oh, I'm just chilling on my not studio, just my couch.
It is. Well, it's you've got some studio accoutrement in the back. I see, a kind of a cool cat tree, and you know what? You work with the space you got. That's all
I
right.
just hide my space with a digital background.
Yes,
I am too lazy to do that.
It does require a modicum of effort, but a lot less than you think. But you know what? Teach their own. I totally get it. As always, we want to give some love out there to our Patreons. We started a Patreon about a month and a half ago, and we've had great support so far. Big shout outs go to our top level folks at the BFF level, the Nias family, Sean, Stella, and Henry, and your friend and mine, Missy Merchant, who's been a co-host right here on this program and is a big friend to the network. At the Best Buzz level is Jamie Prinky, and our friends with benefits, which still, Todd came up with these names. I'm not fond of that one, but whatever. We're very fond of these people. They'd be Brendan Myers, John Sadorf, and the Phoenix Sisters cosplay, which is my friend Kelly, who Peter and I will be doing a shoot with next month in Chicago, our Voyager shoot. She will be our Captain Janeway. So very excited about that. But we are kicking off the show otherwise talking about a little news, and it's not happy news because it's a show coming to an end. And I don't know how you technically describe, is this a cancellation? Is this simply a natural conclusion? I feel like it's cancellation just because when I was on the Star Trek cruise, which April and I just came back from, Doug Jones was a guest, and it's great to see Doug because I describe him as a friend of a friend because he's a close friend of Missy's, and I like to ride on her coattails whenever I can. But he knows me and he knows April, and we know his agent who was also on the cruise, Derek, a fun guy, and Derek's husband, Alejandro. I bet if I said his name wrong, but I met him as well. I believe it's Alejandro. We got to chat with all of them, but Doug received this news, as did Sarah Minich, who plays Lieutenant Nilsson on the bridge of Discovery, that Star Trek Discovery is coming to an end with season 5, which will be aired in early 2024. We had been all wondering. Right now we're in season 3 of Picard, and we're going to talk about the first 2 episodes, the next 2 episodes of that show, episodes 2 and 3 here in a minute. But we don't have anything on hard lock for other shows that are going to air in 2023. This, of course, was speculated to be such, but it looks like this will probably slide into the slot that Picard has right now. I would guess this would be like a February, March kickoff of 2024. But yes, the show is coming to an end after 5 seasons. What can be said about Discovery? There are those who love it. Missy loves it. I know that, Kay, you're a huge fan. There are traditionalists like Peter and myself that sometimes struggle with it. Admittedly, Peter, I don't want to speak for you, but you probably have some of those same feelings that I do. But one thing that absolutely cannot be argued with, in my opinion, is that Star Trek Discovery launched this second golden age of Star Trek. There would be no Picard. There would be no Lower Decks. There would be no Strange New Worlds. Tell me if I'm leaving something. Is there another show I'm leaving out? Am I having a mental block?
Prodigy?
There would be no Prodigy, exactly, without Discovery bringing it back. In 2017, the fledgling CBS All Access came on, and this was its kind of cornerstone piece of programming was this show set as a mid prequel to the original series, taking place about a decade before the original series. We got the voyages of Michael Burnham, portrayed by Sonequa Martin Green, and Lieutenant Commander / Captain Saru, a brand new super cool alien played by, as I said, the fantastic Doug Jones, and a host of other characters and their voyages, which kept them, in that 23rd century pre-TOS timeframe for a couple of seasons, in which case we also got a recasting of the classic character of Captain Pike by Anson Mount, my guy. Love the character, which then spawned Strange New Worlds. Now the show jumped forward into the 32nd century, where it will conclude its run. So let's talk about some feelings. We'll go with Peter. How you feeling about Discovery coming to an end? Oh boy.
I'm okay with it.
All right.
I recognize the value of Discovery, of bringing Star Trek back to the television in a big way.
New audiences, I think, for sure.
But as I have expressed before, I'm an old school Trekkie. I like continuity, and so it annoyed me. There are some good stuff. I have mentioned that before, but I hope that everyone goes on to greater and better things, that this doesn't end it. But I'm not going to be sad.
I understand where you're coming from, Kay. I get the feeling your feelings might be slightly stronger, but again, I know you and I have both agreed the fact that the first season of Discovery was not our favorite, but it went on to do greater things. So talk to me about how you're feeling right now. Where are you at with this?
Yeah, I feel like it's very bittersweet, kind of like when Voyager came to an end. Fantastic show, and I've very much enjoyed it. I very much have fallen in love with all of the characters. And I'm glad that they're at least giving, saying this is the final season, this is the series finale, and it's not just something of it just didn't get renewed. And then you're just kind of left with things the way they were. So it's going to give them an opportunity to really wrap things up and close out things for the characters. And 5 seasons is nothing to sneeze at. Like you and I were talking, Charlie, before we got on. That's a really good run, especially for something that was never really aired on network television. It's always been kind of behind a paywall. So the fact that it was able to get such a huge, fan following and was able to gain so much love and appreciation, especially like we said, with the first really, really rough season, it got a lot of hate from people right from the beginning when they found out that there was going to be 2 female leads. And I'm just really excited that it brought us to where we are, that we got things like Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks because of it. And I'm really hoping that this doesn't mean that we're not going to continue to get great new shows, and that this is something where they can now make Strange New Worlds kind of the backbone, like they had Discovery, and then they'll be able to do offshoots from there and still keep experimenting and keep letting it grow.
Right. No, I agree. And, I walk in the middle of the two of you, though I do tilt more on the side of what Kay has said. I mean, there's no denying what they accomplished is it of my, there are 10 Star Trek shows now, so you could split it 50-50. Is it in my upper half? It's not. Just because, again, I'm like Peter, I'm a classic dyed-in-the-wool DS9, TNG, Voyager, would probably be my top 3. Strange New Worlds would probably buffer for that 3rd spot. But Discovery has done what Star Trek has always done, which is swing for the fences, take on new things that are directly related to social commentary, the world that we live in. One of the episodes of DS9 that we're going to talk about later in the show was the most on-the-nose social commentary I think that Star Trek did in the 90s, in the 21st century era. And Discovery just continued to do that. More to your point, Kate, it does say here in this source article from Trek Movie that they are, and Doug Jones had confirmed this on one of the panels that we listened to when we were on the ship, that they have wrapped production as of last November, but filming in order to kind of wrap things up and kind of tie things up in a bow will resume in bits and pieces. So they're going to jump back there and do some things to really help it feel a little bit more complete, because again, that's one of the biggest perils and pitfalls when a show gets canceled. It's like, well, there you go, boop. I mean, how many shows ended and there was just nothing?
Look at
there was
look at TOS.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to us is like, oh, and they flew off into the sunset. We're going to Starbase, blah blah blah, and it's all over. And then nothing, and nobody knows why. So yeah, so even in Star Trek, there is that. So, and again, to your point, Kay, it's spectacular that something that has existed entirely in the streaming world. When you look at things that are comparable, like Netflix, it was canceled before the first season aired. Like, I think the Warner Brothers did Swamp Thing, and it was canceled while they were still airing their episodes, or they aired a handful of them, and then the other ones just kind of went in the bin. So,
like Firefly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Firefly, and that was back in the network days, really suffered from, we had a bunch of episodes and we aired them out of sequence, and it had a bad time slot, so it never really caught on. Where in the streaming world, that's once people find out about it, they can watch whenever they want to watch it. So it's not the traditional, the thing that killed Star Trek is like, the famous story is the third season. They just really wanted to get rid of it. So they put it in the death slot on Friday at 10 o'clock when people just aren't so much watching TV. Now it doesn't matter. So, so I'm sad, I'm happy, but it's an evolution. All of the Star Trek shows ended, and some of them made a comeback. So who's to say that there's not going to be some kind of Discovery-related revival or continuation 20 years from now, 10 years from now? Who knows?
Right. And I'd rather have it where it ends on a high note and it ends when it was still good than that, like, petering out for another 6 seasons and just being like, oh my gosh, you guys, okay, we get it.
Yeah, like
Once Upon a Time or a Castle, where it just
yes, exactly, yes.
A couple extra seasons, you're like, okay, no,
please no. The Walking.
You could have ended this 3 seasons ago, and I would have been fine.
The Walking Dead was very much that way, in my opinion. Even the last season of TNG is you're really stretching to find there's 5 of these 26 that are great, or it's a struggle, in my opinion. But anyway, that's the news. And if there's more news about this as we go forward, of course, you will hear it from us. But let's move into the juice of talking about Picard season 3, episodes 2 and 3, which of course are available to you on Paramount Plus. Plug. Peter, I'm gonna toss it to you to read the summary for episode 2, Disengage. Go for it.
Disengage. Picard stops the large ship, the Shrike, from transporting Jack off the Ilios, but it then captures the Ilios itself with a tractor beam. Seven persuades Shaw to intervene, and Beverly is transported to the Titan's medical bay, while Picard, Riker, and Jack are brought to the bridge. The Shrike's captain, a bounty hunter named Vadic, reveals that Jack is an intergalactic criminal with a large bounty on his head. Shaw has Jack arrested and intends to turn him over to save the crew, despite the protests of Picard and Riker. Jack escapes from custody and attempts to transport himself over to the Shrike in an effort to save his mother, but Riker helps Beverly to the bridge, and when Picard sees her, he realizes that Jack is his son from a brief relationship he had with Beverly decades earlier. Knowing that Picard will not hand over his son, Shaw orders the Titan into a nearby nebula as a delighted, maniacally gleeful is more accurate.
Yeah, she's a little too happy.
Yeah. Raffi meets with a Ferengi criminal, Sneed, hoping to find those responsible for the attack, despite her handler ordering her to stop investigating, to disengage. She is almost killed by Sneed, but is saved by her handler, Worf, son of...
Woo! Worf! Oh my God. First of all, I said this to myself both when I was watching it. In the scene, obviously, once we have Jack and Picard and Riker over in kind of holding area in the ward room, or the conference area over on the Titan, Shaw comes in. By the way, Shaw, actor Todd Stadwick, I spent a great deal of time with him on the cruise. He even did the marriage renewal ceremony that April and I got remarried at in our uniforms, was run by him because he's obviously an ordained minister, but I caught him a couple times. I was on stage with him during one of the variety show sketches. I mean, I ended up spending a crazy amount of time with him, and what a super cool guy. But he walks in and he starts reading off all these aliases that Jack Crusher has, and it just reminds me of Simpsons reference. Homer's mother, it was the same thing. She was a criminal on the run, and she had all these crazy fake names, and the thing that jumped out at me was Mona May Muggins. So that's kind of how we think of Jack Crusher. He's Mona May Muggins. But anyway, I know that was a ridiculous story. Kay, your thoughts on the episode? We'll circle back to Peter, and then I will go last.
So this is an episode. My biggest takeaway was it felt like the episode is fighting the actors, because you had really great performances, like that performance of just like the moment where Beverly sees Picard for the first time. And there's this really amazing, moving, just like 2 or 3 second interaction where they have an entire conversation between each other. And like, without a shadow of a doubt, you're like, okay, cool. She has now confirmed that Jack is his son. Like, we got this. And then immediately Picard goes, he is my son. And I'm like, yes, we have that.
Thank
we
you.
We know that. You did not need to confirm. So, and even like Vadic, the actor who's doing it, she's giving an amazing performance, but everything about it felt really kind of just forced. Like, I'm like, is she like, are we getting like psychotic Harley Quinn type crazy vibes? Is she like more, con, crazy maniacal, like calculating vibe? Like, which one do you want her to be? Because you're having her give us both right now. So can we please come to a decision? And I don't know. It feels like they're still kind of just throwing things at it. And I'm not really seeing the characters acting like the characters yet. And you started to see that even think more so in the third episode, but like you had the brief interaction with Troy where they were doing a flashback and Troy was acting like, or that might have been in the third episode.
Yeah.
That was in the third one. So
yeah, flashback.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm liking the Bridge Crew, and I'm liking Seven. I think that those guys are looking really great. But other than that, I'm just kind of still waiting to see what's happening or what's going to happen. Nothing has really grabbed my attention yet.
We're understandably gun shy, I would say, after what we're coming off of in season 2. So that is completely fair. Peter.
I kind of have the same feelings as Kay about this one. It was an episode. It wasn't like the worst thing I've ever seen. But it confirmed things that we already had guessed from episode 1. Like, oh no, Jack is Picard's son. Oh wow, who ever thought that?
Who did that?
And there were even little like fun, like I really enjoyed the Picard of Riker being like, you really don't see this.
Like that was funny.
You really don't. That was funny.
Like it was funny, but at the same time, just having done a little bit of script writing and directing, yes. Riker literally tells him, "You're dancing around the issue, Jean-Luc," and I'm sitting there. The episode is dancing around the issue too. Stop.
Dancing.
It was funny because the meta was there, but it was just like, oh, like again, it wasn't terrible. It's just that moment particularly. The dialogue was funny, but the meta was just like, whatever.
The meta was you know what? The meta was just like whatever is a better name for the episode.
Yeah. I mean, and Riker's always been a little bit meta, where he was always been the one who kind of delivers the jokes Riker that way. So it was, again, that was very Riker.
Oh, it was totally Riker.
Yeah, which was perfect.
Like the thing in this episode, Riker is still very much doing Riker things, and he's still very Riker in this episode.
So I think that you and I are going to have the same conversation for episode 3.
So Riker's very, very Riker in this episode. I really liked him. There wasn't enough of Beverly in this episode for me to really get like much of a feel. I really like that moment where the conversation by glances. I did like Shaw's reaction to that, actually. Shaw's been kind of growing on me, in part because talking to my brother, who is in the Army, he gives me some context on like chain of command and stuff, and like it makes sense for Shaw to do stuff like this. As a side note, I think we're going to get some sort of, based on stuff we've seen in the credits, Shaw is going to have some sort of tie to Wolf 359, and there's going to be some unresolved trauma there. I'm just going to throw that out there as my prediction.
Yeah, I mean, that's I wouldn't say it's an easy tack, but it's a decent one. And having Picard and Riker in the same place, you have the Butcher of 359, and then you have the guy who missed 359, and then the savior of the Federation. Yeah, exactly.
And then you have Seven, who's a result of the Federation dealing with the Butchers of 359.
Right, exactly.
So like,
could be.
I did enjoy Shaw's response where Picard was like, "It's my son." You literally see him go, "Oh shit!"
Yeah. Well, and what are we going to do now? This would be the creek.
That reaction was perfect. I really liked that. And like Kay, I'm enjoying the Bridge Crew pretty well. I lean towards LaForge. I like her the most out of everybody.
Oh,
Probably
yeah,
because she has
absolutely.
the most personality.
Right.
The Delton Vulcan science officer is also entertaining more in 3 than this one.
Right.
The Bajoran ops officer hasn't really done much to write.
Yeah. He's pushing buttons and talking there sometimes. Yeah. He's there.
I know he's there. I recognize him. I still don't know his name.
Right. That's true.
But yeah. Also Vatic with K. I'm not sure what they're going for. Actor clearly has skill. But
yeah, Amanda Plummer, goes.
I don't
way
know
back
who this person is supposed to be because they're like, it's a bounty hunter, and I'm just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we haven't had a long storied history of some great bounty hunter characters. We got a smattering of them in Enterprise, and I can't really think of probably some in DS9. I would think Quark dealt with somebody who's maybe a bounty hunter or Nauticans.
Yeah.
That's kind of their thing.
The Nauticans are pretty generally bounty hunters, and I think Quark may have dealt with someone. I don't know.
So you're right. It's kind of too tangential at this point to figure out. Like,
do have to say one thing about
please.
The Ferengi looked so much better.
Oh right, then you're kind of
one. The one that I have
your melted ice cream Discovery.
Yes,
the one that I have not had good things to say about. This Ferengi, while different, and I do take issue with some design things, I could tell it was a Ferengi, and I was like, we're good.
He didn't look with it. Yeah. Did you guys pick out and again, I didn't pick it out because so much heavy makeup, but I did see a report that was the actor who was Pyro in the couple of the X-Men movies, early 2001. So X-Men United.
He looked familiar, but I was like, who is this? Have I seen him before? But I didn't go look him up later.
Yep.
So
totally. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, that might have been.
He did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It was
he did a
very
great
well acted.
Ferengi.
Once again, Raffi writing her like an idiot. Because she shows up and I'm like, I have issue with how they're using Raffi. Again, because either Starfleet is absolutely just balls to the walls idiots because they're taking someone who is obviously very clearly still struggling with substance abuse and putting her as an undercover ops as a substance abuser and being like, no, she'll be fine. It's cool.
It's cool.
Right. Or on the flip side, she actually has gone through and overcome her substance abuse and is now actually a successful undercover operative for Section 31. And, like she literally saved the universe. And the only thing that they really write her about is that she used to abuse substance. Like this is something she struggles with. And I'm like, it feels like such a bad stereotype. And it's just the only thing that has defined her character now for 3 seasons.
Which
is
exceptionally irritating.
Yeah, she's just a mess. She's just a mess no matter what she's doing. Right.
Right. It was one thing when that was like the first part of her character development in season 1, because like Picard met her while she was still actively an alcoholic. Like, yes, that made sense that she was working through that. But now, like, we've had a season and a half now of her working through that and overcoming it, and you're still just, like, beating that down to her. And I'm like, she should be more than this. Like, even the conversation she had with her ex where he was like, well, what else are you going to be? Like, he was, like, basically, like, shitting on her the entire time. I'm like, you're talking to someone who literally saved the universe and is a successful member of Starfleet and doing these really difficult undercover missions, and you're acting like she's some sort of, like, person off the street who is like trying to rob you so that they can get their next hit.
Yeah, and they tossed the husband, the ex-husband, was a character in there was a novelization that was a run up to the first season of Picard, and again, not strictly canon. I don't know how much they were bending those rules, and canonical. Things in books can be canonical if they get pulled in on screen, but that's a conversation for another time. But they really painted him as he was very much a straight arrow. But in this, he's like, well, I'm a recovering addict too, and I run this bar where we sell drugs, and it's just really making him out to be not a great dude. And then he takes the moral high ground with her. Well, I'll hook you up with the Ferengi guy, or I'll put in a good word with you with our estranged son, but I won't do both. It's like, what a dick.
Yeah.
You're not such a great guy after all that you can, that you think you're Obi-Wan up there on the moral high ground. Knock it off. Sucks.
Right. And it feels like it's not painting like it feels like it's very harmful to people who have had substance abuse
Right.
difficulties in the past, because they're just making they're just creating this really harmful stereotype of like, this is all she is, and this is
her
all
only
she can ever be.
identifying characteristic. Which
yeah, very one note, which is, you paint yourself into a corner. All right, well, let's move along. Kay, episode 3, 17 seconds. Is that like that 9 seconds Luke Perry, or 8 seconds? It was the Luke Perry movie where he was riding the horse. You know what I'm talking. See, you get the reference, maybe? No?
42.
No.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, anyway, this episode's yours. Go for it.
All right, so the Shrike attacks the Titan, injuring Shaw, who transfers command to Riker. Beverly explains that she did not tell Picard about Jack to keep their son safe from an assassination attempt. Side note, very great scene. The Titan attempts to escape the nebula, but is cornered by the Shrike using portal technology. Boop, boop, boop. Picard advises Riker to lure the Shrike into a tap, but Riker wants to flee and prioritizes the screw. They go back and forth between that quite a bit. They figure out why Vadic from the Shrike can track the Titan, and then they find out that a changeling has been sabotaging the ship. Oh no!
Changeling!
Raffi and Worf capture a criminal that they believe is responsible for attacking Talis Prime, who then they discover is a changeling, also demon-possessed apparently, part of the group that has been fighting the Federation since the end of the Dominion War. And then they realized the attack was a distraction because they were trying to steal something else that was maybe more important.
MacGuffin!
Based off of, or I guess after Picard's prodding, Riker finally decides to fire on the Shrike. Their weapons are then redirected back at them, and they shoot themselves in their own ass.
Which was
very... I was honestly laughing very hard when that happened.
Were you laughing your ass off?
I was, yes. And so the Titan sustains heavy damage, and then Riker, completely out of character, blames Picard and orders him off the bridge as they drift towards the gravitational anomaly of the nebula. And this is, I think, where Peter and I are going to heavily agree that Riker goes off the rails in this episode, and they were writing Riker for conflict, not for Riker's sake. And it
not for Riker's sake.
Off.
Yep.
Yeah, there was no reason. Because they start out buddy, and he's like, there's this really cute moment where he says that he's going to start calling Picard his number one, or Picard tells him to start calling him his number one.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, this is really cool. Like, you're seeing this different dynamic, and they're having, some challenging conversations where Picard is, giving him his input, very much reminiscent of the conversations that Picard and Riker would have on, TNG, on the Enterprise, when they'd be going back and forth. And then Riker follows his suggestion. It does not go well. And then Riker immediately, instead of saying, I'm the captain, I ultimately was the one who made this decision, blames Picard and tells him, no, you need to go away.
You've killed us all. Get off the bridge.
I was
like, what is this? Who the hell is this?
Right, exactly.
And there's this part where Vadic, again, amazing acting, great delivery on these lines, but they just have her waxing on, and she keeps coming in, doing all these monologues, and I was so bored. I was so bored during these monologues.
She is,
it really did, yes.
Big time. She is, by the way, the daughter of Christopher Plummer, who was the Klingon villain in Star Trek VI, who was also famous for monologuing. General Chang, Mr. Shakespeare.
Constant as the Northern Star. I'd give
real money if he'd shut up.
That was kind of the vibe I was getting.
Right.
And this is a thing where I was able to vibe with you too, because canonically we know how changelings behave when they cannot
be in a bucket.
When they can't bucket themselves.
Right.
And for some reason, this dude starts his voice gets a reverb, like he's possessed by a demon. We went full on exorcism with this guy, and it didn't make.
Yeah, they're just supposed to get all melty, like that happened to Odo more than
get a
once.
little shaky, but
but they don't go like. Yeah, exactly.
And he was like thrashing and wailing around, and just this entire episode, I was just like, okay, here we go. Now we're going back into the crazy where they're just throwing stuff like they did in the last 2 seasons just to see what they can have happen. And, they're going to start pulling characters to have them act out of character so that they can create conflict for no reason. And the only redeeming factor I saw was that, once again, Beverly and Picard had an absolutely amazing scene
Right.
between the two of them, where she's explaining why she didn't tell Picard about the fact that she was pregnant. And it was really, really well delivered by both of them.
Right. And, as someone who's dealt with that in my own life, not that I, have a kid out there I don't know about that I'm aware of, I've been married twice. I have 3 kids. I have a son who passed away, but I have 2 sons by 2 different women. People know this about me, that both of my exes have bent over backwards to make sure I'm not part of my son's lives. Not for any noble reason. Not like, it's to save their life, or it's that, no, it's not like somebody was trying to get to them through me or whatever it is.
To kill you. Oh no.
Yes, exactly. People do things for their own reasons. Some are super screwed up, like what's happened with me. And in other cases, Kate, like you're saying, some things are very gray. There's some things that Beverly said that are totally valid. That absolutely does not justify, in my opinion, as someone who's on the other side of it, as a father who's been alienated from his children, doesn't make it okay.
No, and that was the great thing, is that there was this, it really became a moral gray of her going, I was trying to protect our son because everything about you is fraught with danger. And Picard immediately shoots back. He goes, but wasn't that my choice?
Exactly.
And again, just Patrick Stewart's delivery of that just again shows why he has such a long and amazing, career, is because, and the fact that, who plays Beverly?
Gates McFadden.
Gates McFadden.
Yeah, the fact that Gates McFadden was able to hold her own in that scene with Patrick Stewart, just amazing.
I really like the line that he gave out, which is like, I shouldn't be damned for a decision that I wasn't allowed to make.
Yes, that was such a great line.
Right. Because I've been in that situation.
Yeah, exactly. So. Right. And me too. Exactly. So that was, that really, and we, April and I watched this one on the ship. There was a screening, a very late night screening last Wednesday that was introduced by Todd Stashwick, Captain Dick Butt, as I used to call him. Now I respect him and I call him, he's Captain Superstar. He's a super funny guy. He and Tawny, I was on stage with both of them during it was actually the Gorn Gong show. April shot a whole video of it. I'll make sure that you guys see it. But it was I shared the stage with him and Tawny and Jeff Combs, and they are all ridiculously hilarious. I think April and I are going to record a segment of our experiences on the ship. So I'm going to hold back and save it for that. But we will do that. But it was just an unbelievable experience. But anyway, so what do you think, guys? Where are we headed? I mean, we were less cautiously optimistic after the first episode, but are we tilting in the other direction now? Are we afraid we're getting into bad habits, or where do you think we're headed? I mean, are they saving something for us that'll make all this make sense, or is it are we going over the cliff?
I think we're going over the cliff. They've got too many threads already going where I think it's going to go over the cliff.
You have the absolute perfect cat who's sticking her face in there, Kate. He's like, are you sure, Mama?
He is absolutely positive. He has watched every episode with me so far.
That's a good kitty.
The only thing I'll say is that this season so far has the added benefit of sticking a little bit more to the Star Trek universe feel.
Yeah,
But like we've been saying, there's more signs that the characters are going to act out of character a little bit more regularly than not, and I'm definitely a little bit more concerned about that. Worf seems to be doing Worf things, and that's good.
Right.
Worf is going to Worf, and it was so beautiful the entire time.
I like this whole thing is always going to Worf, son of Moog, son of da-da-da-da-da-da, killer of Galva. Would you like some tea?
Oh my God. And that immediately showed up on a meme that somebody wrote it on a Starbucks cup, and it was fantastic.
It was the immediate thought for me, and I haven't really watched a lot of the show, was like from Family Guy, where it's like, we are drinking tea. Thank you very much. Yes, tea. And it just, that's what I thought of.
Good tea.
So nice it just made me laugh that they had Worf doing that. So
God.
Worf is going to probably be a highlight because Worf gonna Worf, and he seems to be Worfing well.
Right.
Yes. But I was okay with Riker up until this episode, and now I'm just like,
yes.
I don't know.
Well, and I was very worried about the Troy Riker thing that they have going on, and they have the only scenes they have shown her in. They have painted her as a very catty, kind of a stereotypical controlling housewife.
Right.
And that is definitely not her. So I'm very, very concerned about their relationship.
I did have some
I
interaction
mean, the
with
flashback
Marina
thing, I
on
can
the
get
cruise.
like the sleep
Hilarious.
deprivation causing something,
Right.
but
that was our intro. Well, it wasn't our, we did see her obviously in season 1. I think she
Season
played
1
all
she
right in
was
season
okay.
1. Yeah.
if I
Right.
remember
Well, and
correctly.
they had her in season 1 where she was very encouraging with Riker. Like when Picard
Right.
showed up, she was like, obviously we would help. Like Riker was the one who was going, I am bringing danger into this family. I am doing bad things. And she was like, this is Picard. Of course you're going to do that. And, I can't hold you against this because that's who you are. And I wouldn't love you if this wasn't who you are.
Right.
And now apparently she hates him for this.
What changed in just a couple of years? If you look at the canonically, it's been a couple of years.
It just doesn't. Yeah. So it's the concern about the characters again is kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. No, I understand.
I'm still curious to see what they do with Shaw.
Yeah.
I'm still
very
like
much.
him.
I want him to live. I mean, I actually end up liking him very much. So, all right. Well, that will be a mystery for another week, but it's time to move on.
Yes.
Talking about Deep Space Nine. This is part 2 of season 3, still airing at the tail end of 1994. It was my first year in college. It was so crazy, so very long ago. But yeah, we got a packet of 6 episodes, so we're going to kick it off. Kay, give us episode number 8.
I feel like you gave me this one on purpose.
I did because it's already earned its spot when we do our wrap up for me.
It has for me as well. Yes. So Meridian, directed by Jonathan Frakes, story by Hilary J. Bader and Evan Carlos Sommers, teleplay by Mark Jareed O'Connell, aired March 14th of 1994. Dax falls in love with Daryl, who I'm going to call him Daryl.
I like Daryl. Yeah, Daryl, like either from the Bob Hope show, which you're not the Bob Newhart, and is that a reference you guys got? Bob Newhart, probably not Peter. No, oh my God, or from The Walking Dead. But anyway, I digress.
But anyway, he falls in love with Daryl, who's on a planet that will soon disappear, which is called Meridian, and it is a planet that phases between 2 dimensions every 60 years.
I'm sorry, that's 100% of my commentary.
Yes.
With the exception of the fact that this is the first appearance in any Star Trek of Jeff Combs. First appearance, because he is the rich creep alien who's stalking Kira.
So there was usually there is I might not like one of the plots, like the A or B plot, but usually I'll like the other one. This one was a total miss for me on all fronts because first off, Dax's first interaction with Daryl is basically "Can I touch your hair?" moment, where he's like, those are interesting markings. Do they go all the way down?
Oh, God,
are those natural? I think that's what he says. Are those real or are those natural? And she's like, yes. Are yours? I was like, this. Why would she ever be interested in this?
She'd be like, I'm going to go stand over here now.
Right. I was like, this is
Dax
super
trolling him super hard because of that, but not.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
That was the entire thing. I was like, Dax I cannot see her being into this dude because he's just kind of creepy. He's kind of just very disrespectful as far as that goes. And then you had the entire playing women off as objects for laughs with this weird possessive thing. And I get that Quark is a Ferengi. It's all capitalism, so he wouldn't really see a problem with this. But the idea of he's like, yes, this guy wants a hologram of Kira and has specifically said he wants it so that he can do anything to her. And, that is not going to be for good stuff.
Kira. Yeah, no.
Yes. And Quark's just like, yeah, sure. And so it's this laughs off of him trying to get her information. And the only reason why it doesn't work is because Odo's like, hey, someone has accessed all of your information and data logs.
Yeah,
Maybe we should figure out why. It wasn't because Quark had any moral quandaries about it.
Nope. This was absent of the Star Trek moral quandary quiz. Quark doesn't do those. Leave that for somebody else in the episode. Oh my God.
So this one, that's my rant. This one was a total miss for me.
Super duper gross. Peter.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think I have much to add. I mean, Quark's head when everyone went like, that was kind of funny. But other than that was
that was a funny moment.
That's like the only good moment in the episode. And I enjoy when it shows up in like books or references in video games, or just like, hey, Uncle Quark, you remember this? Nope, don't talk about that. No. And it's just,
no, we don't do that.
I enjoy that because it's just like, it's a terrible episode, but that was funny because Quark got his comeuppance and it was hilarious.
Right, exactly.
But other than that,
yeah, I mean, you got an episode directed by Jonathan Frakes, which especially is gold in this day and age. He directs something like he's directed several great episodes of Discovery in recent years. He directed one of these recent episodes of Picard, but you've got otherwise a story and a teleplay team of I know Hilary Bader is a regular, but the other two names are not familiar to me. So I wonder if it's just a case of you get people that don't understand the characters and they're trying to do a Star Trek, like, oh, this seems like it might be, and it just flops. So I think that's where we end up. Well, what didn't flop, I'm stealing this one, is what has always been one of my favorites, and I wonder why. This was a month where Jonathan Frakes got 2 paychecks because it gets to be in episode 9, which is Defiant, directed by Cliff Bole, stalwart of the series. Ron Moore is the writer. My guy, meeting him at Star Trek Las Vegas. I'll be stalking him, but it won't be like the weird hologram sex thing. Oh my God. This is from November of 1994. William Riker shows up unannounced on the station, and Kira shows him the Defiant, where his real identity, and his true motives for coming to Deep Space Nine are revealed. That's right, he's Tom Riker, who's apparently given up loving on Deanna Troi for loving on the Maquis. Yes, taking off the big sideburns.
Right, that's how you know he's evil, is because he doesn't have a beard. He has a goatee.
Yes. Goatee is always the signifier of
beard's good, goatee's bad. Might have found a new name. Might have found a new name for the episode. So let me just go ahead and change that. But this has been and will always be one of my favorites. Not only because I love Jonathan Frakes. It's very heavy into the Cardassian stuff. It's packed with a lot of action, but you get some real character study with the duality that are the kind of the Riker boys, the Riker twin clones. If you're not familiar with Thomas Riker, that comes from a season 6 episode of TNG, where the Enterprise visits a planet where Riker had, as a young officer, visited when he was on another ship. He had gotten beamed up. The beam went awry. He materialized on the ship, and he materialized down on the planet, but was trapped there. And so there were 2 identical Rikers, and when they rediscover the new dude, he's in love with Troi, and blah 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 blah. And in the end of it, he goes off to have his own life without Troi. Well, in going off to have his own life, he decides that the Maquis is his thing, and he wants to set himself apart and be the badass Riker because he's got that goatee. He probably said, "I'm having bad thoughts. Let me get on my razor." Meow, meow. Now I'm a bad guy. This will always be one of my absolute favorites. And while I changed the name of the episodes to Beard's Good, Goatee's Bad, let's hear from Kay.
Yeah, I would agree. This was I think a great episode, definitely solid in the grouping. Again, for all of the reasons, I think that, you had a lot of fun from Riker being able to play kind of the villainous character. And I think it was really, really great just with being able to show or build on that strain between like the official government of Cardassia along with the Obsidian Order and that like constant power struggle that the two have. And, you just get to see the continuing build of the world of DS9 instead of it just being like kind of singular episodic like there were in previous series,
right?
Which is what I really enjoy.
Big time. And this does set up a big Cardassian with the Obsidian Order, which is their secret police. It's setting up a huge two-part story that's coming up. I think we're covering it in our next segment, but it's like, oh, that's what they were doing. But yeah, Peter, what do you think? I mean, what else can be said, right? It's
a fun episode.
It's awesome.
Yeah. It's enjoyable. It's just got a lot of fun parts. It's always fun. I generally like crossover episodes anyway when they handle the characters well, and this one was handled pretty well. I mean, yeah. It's just
nailed it.
So
speaking of things that didn't nail it, Peter, I think number 10 is yours.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Episode 10, Fascination, directed by Avery Brooks, interestingly enough.
I know.
Story by Ira Stephen Bear and James Crocker. Teleplay by Philip Lezebnik, I think. Aired on November 28th, 1994. Everyone's favorite, Lwaxana Troi pursues Odo during the Bajoran Gratitude Festival as members of the crew suddenly become infatuated with one another.
What? And I will interject. The Bajoran Gratitude Festival was one of the theme nights on the cruise. Nana Visitor was a guest, and she kicked off the dance party where April took a couple pictures of. She jumped out and danced with people in the crowd, including me, and April got some pictures of it. But she did the whole little speech, and she had it on a piece of paper, and she said it to kick off the festival there on the pool deck on the cruise. It was totally awesome. But anyway, I digress. Peter, how do you feel about the episode?
We know how much you love Loxana.
Right.
Obviously.
She's love-able.
I mean, Loxana, she has her on moments and her off moments for me. This one was I did like the moment between her and Odo in the turbo lift at the end. Like that was that was good.
It was very, very emotionally honest. I like that.
It was very, very good. Like that was some good acting. That was some good character stuff. But generally speaking, I also just don't like it when everything becomes like, oh, I'm infatuated, and now it's all about no.
Right.
Those are not my favorite episodes.
Totally love the weird, like, face-sucking conversation that happened between Bashir and Kira.
And in real life,
I hate those sorts of things in Star Trek anyway.
I know.
It
doesn't do romance. That was actually, it was when those two actors were getting together and they ended up getting married and they had a baby. But this was right around that time when Nana and Sid were becoming a couple. So I think I knew that, and that was news at the time. So like, oh, that was easy.
Which is weird because there's like zero sexual chemistry in that entire scene.
In the entire episode, nobody really. It's like, oh, okay, Dax.
No, I feel like they did it specifically where they were like, we need to make this as unsexy as possible just for comedy's sake.
Which they succeeded, but I'm not sure.
Oh yes,
comedic.
Yeah, Nana is so great in person, but I have said this since I watched show. She is a weird kisser. She's like, just sorry, Nana. I'm sure you don't listen to our show.
I think that might have been Avery Brooks because that was kind of a thing during that time frame of like kissing, like any passionate kissing. It was always just like you were licking them like
trying to eat someone's
animal.
Face.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I don't like it, because
it's just.
No, it's weird and awkward. It is one of those things where I'm like, what is wrong?
Like, are you having a stroke while you're kissing?
Yes.
What's going on?
Oh my
it's
God.
like a 5-year-old was told to kiss someone passionately, and that's what they would assume it was supposed to be.
Oh my God! All right, well, let's leave this one in the dust. And Kay, I'll say let's wrap this two-parter into one reading, but one of the most important episodes, not only of the season, of the series, in my opinion, but potentially of all of Star Trek, is yours. So go for it.
Yes. So we had Past Tense Part 1 and 2. The first one was directed by Reza Badiri.
I'm not sure.
Story in both episodes was written by Ira Stephen Bear and Robert Hewitt Wolfe, and then the teleplay was done by Robert Hewitt Wolfe. Teleplay in the second part was done by Ira Stephen Bear and Renee Echevarria. So basically, there was a transporter accident, and Sisko, Bashir, and Dax time travel 3 centuries to Earth's past, to a dark timeline, which is 2024. So apparently, this year going to be real rough for us.
Real rough.
In a past time just before the Bell Riots, which were a violent civil disturbance in opposition to the sanctuaries, which are controlled ghettos of the
dispossessed.
The dispossessed.
Yes.
So basically an area that they kind of just bring all of the unhoused and stick them there and kind of leave it to be.
Yeah.
So
all
just
good.
Some really severe redlining going on there. And there were just some absolutely amazing parts. First off, you have it where when they get separated, they land, and Sisko and Bashir, who are the 2 men of color, are immediately found by the cops and questioned and assumed guilt, where Dax, who is the pretty white woman, is assumed innocent and is taken in and protected.
by a dude. A guy's walking by, because the 2 of them, they materialized at basically a subway stairway. Sisko and Bashir are laid out on the street, so they obviously their possessions were, their badges and pips got taken, where Dax was sitting on the subway steps, and she still has her badge, and there's there's a handsome rich white guy walking by who says, "Oh, let me help you." Oh, okay, yeah. Where the two of them are like, "Let's get you two idiots in jail."
Right.
Like,
So there's just this assumed innocence with Dax, because it just talks a lot about like pretty privilege and like white assumption of like white women can't do anything wrong, which I don't know if they did it on purpose, but I thought it was very, very kind of on brand.
yes,
And
very,
watching the conversation, because the first time I had seen this, Discovery was not out yet. And watching it now, the conversation that Bashir and Cisco have, where Bashir asks, if something really catastrophic happens and we get desperate enough or frightened enough, how would we react? And he's asking if we really are any different than like the Kardashians or the Romulans.
right.
And canonically now we know what would happen because
It happened in Discovery.
shows that, after the burn, and that humanity really has a struggle with self-preservation and with selfishness as a species, as far as like self-isolating and not wanting to help once we get scared. And it's this continual process of learning and overcoming that. So I thought that was a really kind of interesting point that they didn't know there would be an answer to later on, but looking back on it, it's a really cool thing to kind of think on.
Big time. Oh my goodness. No, absolutely. And holy cow, in the next 12 months, we're apparently going to have a real dial back in technology, in so much that nobody has cell phones. All of our computer terminals are worked with those little Apple pens, and you got to do drag and drop, and everything basically is worse than Windows 95. So not really looking forward to that. And the fashion, I like it how they were at a party and Dax was wearing a man's suit with like a peacock tail in her hair. It's like we're in for some real bad. Like you said, we're about to have a real dark year in everything.
Yes.
Yeah. Technology is definitely going backwards, but Ira Stephen Bear was a guest on the cruise, and I actually bumped into him immediately. You guys, I was every time I bumped into somebody, I would message you guys, and I would be like, "I just met Andy Robinson and Ira Stephen Bear and all in once." And Ira, when I went to either one of his talks or he hosted trivia, and somebody tossed out something about this episode, and he says, "Hey, look." He says, I'm from New York City. I'm from the Bronx. He says, the thing is, things keep going the way they're going, and that episode is going to happen like now. Because it is happening right now.
I say it's already, LA already has this kind of setup because their unhoused population is so drastic.
Yeah, it was, I remember, because I was driving the first day that we were in LA, and I was going from Griffith Observatory back down to our stay for the night, which was closer to the port. And so driving down the 10 or the 101 or one of them that was headed from north to south, and then I saw it later in our bus tour, which was just yesterday or 2 days ago. All of the homeless encampments said they just have tents that go across those freeway passes, and just absolutely, you don't see anything. You think you don't see anything like it, but it really is everywhere. We have homeless here in Grand Rapids. I'd like to think we manage it a little bit better, but it's still everywhere and in every city. So yeah, this is they put Cisco in the driver's seat of being the historian who was informing Bashir. And again, they added that to his character for the sake of this episode, which is fine. It's not like something to be like, hey, trivia about me is I love 21st century history or blah, blah, blah. And Bashir, knows nothing. Bashir doesn't know anything about 23rd century history either, because we find that out in the Trials and Tribulations episode. He's like, I don't know anything about this period in history. For a genetic Superman, he's really kind of dull. Yeah, he must have been sleeping all of those history classes. So, I cannot think of another episode of Star Trek, or episodes in this case, that really, it hits it on the nose. It's very heavy, but it has become so much more telling in the now almost 30 years since this episode has been on the air. This was on back in the 1995, the beginning of 1995. And again, and coming from Deep Space Nine, which is, we're the space station show and we don't really go and do blah, blah, blah. And this is absolutely incredible story. Of a myriad of great, incredible stories that DS9 will give us in years to come, and driven by Ira and driven by Robert Hewitt Wolf. Just I can't say enough great things about it. So, Peter,
I like these episodes. Like, there's good stuff. Obviously, there's the social commentary stuff, which everyone's mentioned already. So that, that's good. I think that this episode manages to touch on it and not be super heavy-handed.
Yeah,
Which is
agreed.
helpful because we know how much I love heavy-handed episodes.
right. And yes, and there certainly is the tipping point to go too far.
Yeah.
But this was,
This one manages to do it, but it also like throws in some comedy, which is, helpful with
Right.
dealing with such a heavy topic,
Right.
especially like in the end when O'Brien and Kira are trying to find them and they go through various
oh
time
my God, I
Yes.
remember just
into the 60s and get hammered.
cracking up sideways with this, because they're and it's all in San Francisco. So in the late 60s was the summer of love and whatever it is, and they materialize on a street and they're next to a combi, which is they call one of those hippie vans. That's what they call them in Australia, and they just get out and they give them a flower and give them the peace sign, and they disappear and they're far out because they're on acid. They don't know these people appear and disappear. Or
That's what I
Kira's
thought was
just
funny is they're so high they don't know that.
exactly.
Directive
Right,
doesn't
yeah.
apply because they probably won't remember.
And the first time they appear, it's like it's like in the Roaring 20s. They're outside a speakeasy, and two people walk out, and O'Brien's like, "Good evening," and Kira goes, "I broke my nose," because she's wearing a Band-Aid over her nose, and O'Brien's like, "I told you not to say anything."
Yes.
Like there's lots of stuff that I enjoy here, like we get like hints of the Department of Temporal Investigation, which shows up later.
Yeah,
I really quite enjoyed in the very end where like Cisco's picture replaces Bell's and
yeah.
the file is like
And that gets a callback in that Little Green Men episode next season, because they're dropping knockoff at Earth, and Nog's looking through his pad and he says, "Father, why does this Gabriel Bell human look like Captain Cisco?"
I don't know. Yeah. So there's a lot to like in these two episodes. It's a great two-parter.
And we get the return of a TOS guest star in the form of Ron Howard, because Ron Howard was in an episode of TOS when he was a child, one of the very earliest ones. So that was he's great. Ron Howard for president. We need him.
The actor.
Oh my! The actor. Oh my gosh! So
Try that once. Let's not do it again.
Okay, yeah, you're right. It was no, I don't recall. Thank you, Ronnie. Any final thoughts before we move along? Not move along home, because yikes.
Ella Moraine.
All right, cool. All right, episode 13 is Life Support. Same director as one of the previous ones, Reza Badia. I don't know him. I don't know Badia. I don't know the rest of his work. Story by Christian Ford and Roger Soffer. Teleplay by Ron D. Moore. So this seems like it's a case of kind of two unknowns. Maybe it's a spec script that was touched up by Ron Moore, which just really enhances how great it is. From January of 1995, Bashir's ethics are put to the test as he keeps Vedic Bareil alive long enough to help Kai Wynn complete negotiations for a peace treaty with Cardassia. I watched these last 3 episodes on a plane yesterday, so I was able to download them, but not that I hadn't seen them a zillion times before. And I was just, I am just completely stunned by how great this episode is and how this really sets you in motion of just how diabolical and horrible Wynn is as a character, and it just gets worse and worse as the show goes on. But she's complete. She's the episode begins that there's a Bajoran transport that's coming to the station. There was some kind of explosion on board. Bareil and Wynn are both on board. Nobody knew they were coming. He's critically injured. He dies, and Bashir is able to, by hook or by crook, bring him back to life, but then has to start to replace parts of his body because he's dying slowly, and the ways to keep him alive are artificial. But Wynn is just completely incapable of moving forward without him, and she's trying to just be like, no, give him this extra drug. Oh, okay, it ruined his liver. That's okay. We'll give him this other one. Oh, it ruined his lungs. Okay, but I really do need him because, and Bareil obviously knows how needed he is because he's like, yeah, I guess it's this important that I'll give my life to help Wynn out because she's so friggin' stupid that she can't handle this without me. I mean, he did the same thing when he let her basically become Kai while she was trying to blackmail him, which happened last season. So, oh God, do I hate Wynn? She's so deliciously terrible.
And
it's very sad.
The actress is though, because it's a character you love to hate.
She's a villain.
Yeah,
she's a villain you love to hate.
The late Louise Fletcher, who we lost last year. But yeah, this is not even Philip Angoulême's last appearance as Bareil, because we get Mirror Bareil in season 6, who doesn't turn out to be such a great guy. But yeah, this was a great episode. My favorite cap was Bashir's speech at the end about the spark of life, and and Kira's like, well, can't you just take his brain out and and keep him going? She's like, no, we've gone too far. He's the part of him that would still be around if I swapped his brain out. He would be a robot, and I just can't do that. Yeah, I thought, yeah, no. So I just absolutely love this episode.
Yeah, we kind of get a Ship of Theseus sort of thing going on with this.
Yeah,
it's very much Ship of Theseus meets trolley problem.
Yep.
Yeah. Exactly correct. But yeah, I think this has great and there's never any resolution. Never really see Bashir and Wynn cross swords again, even though they're like, I'll remember what you did here. Well, I'll remember what you did here. And then that was kind of a red herring, but whatever. The thing I think was so brilliant about DS9 is they threw out a lot of red herrings that some of them came back and they did something with, and some of them they didn't, but I never felt like they were wasted. I never really felt like, they really screwed us by trying to set up this and that. But, or with the ongoing of Star Trek, something that gets thrown out as a plot thread can come back 30 years later in an episode of Picard, who knows, or whatever. I mean, that's the beauty of Star Trek, in my opinion. So Kay, your thoughts?
I really, really loved the A plot. This is one of those where A plot, absolutely fantastic, 10 out of 10. The B plot between Nog and Jake, I wanted to rip my hair out.
Well, you did. I saw you shave the one side of your head, so you were just like, I can't dig it.
I did, because it felt like one of those moments of, I get they were trying to show like, it's just that different cultures are different. Right. And I was like, this isn't different cultures. This is what makes me wonder how in the world the Ferengi ever got to be part of the Federation, because they are actively subjugating half of their population.
I mean, they aren't part of the Federation.
Or gets involved with the Federation, and even doing any dealings with them.
Well, and it's in the 32nd century, they are. But that's because, at the end of the series, sorry about the spoiler, Rom becomes Grand Nagus and he totally changes their society around. But yeah, you're right. But at this point, they're just like, Nog is like, chew my food, or she said, cut my food up, or chew my food up, or,
that was the difference, is that he told Jake that he should be grateful that he didn't tell the female to chew his food.
Oh, of course.
Giving it to him.
Yes, be grateful.
And at that point,
I totally
Jake
get it.
Responds with, that's disgusting. And then Nog responds, oh, well, humans have a bunch of disgusting rituals that I don't like either. And I'm like, there's a difference between a disgusting, something you don't like, and again, actively enslaving half of your population. This isn't we just don't talk about things like, I like pineapple on my pizza, you don't.
You are a monster.
We're just gonna not, we'll just get different toppings on a pizza. This is
Civil
your
War.
Best friend is a raging misogynist.
Yeah, right.
Maybe don't be friends with him.
Raging. Oh my goodness. Peter, any final thoughts?
I also think that the Jake and Nog thing was I mean,
it's kind of
they try.
Yeah.
But I do like the whole bit between at what point does it make it where you're just doing too much and you're not saving a person anymore, you're just saving a husk. And that was it's a tough topic, it's a tough issue, and I like how they kind of handled that.
Exactly.
Was it a perfect solution? No. But that's kind of the point of a lot of Star Trek episodes, is to throw it out there and be like, hey, this is a thing. And I'm not necessarily going to give you the answer, but you need to think about it.
The moral quandary. Yeah, exactly. Which is exactly why we didn't care for the JJ movies, because there wasn't one in much of a case. So, all right, let's wrap it up. So we got 6 episodes here. Let's pick a favorite, and let's pick opposite of a favorite. Okay, you
might all be very similar.
I think they're probably going to be very, very similar, because Meridian would definitely be my least favorite, and then Past Tense 1 and 2 would be my favorites.
That would be a case of ditto.
Probably very similar, though it's kind of, for me, a bottom is tie between Meridian and Fascination.
That is also a very splitting hairs,
because it's just
yeah,
I don't know. But to be fair, it didn't have the super weird creepiness with Dex and Daryl. So
Yeah.
I guess Meridian goes down by that.
Yeah. Oh, it goes down just like the planet disappeared and hopefully never came back or whatever. Oh my gosh. Oh, well, that takes us to the end of the line. Kay, take us out.
Yeah, you can find us online at secretfriendsunite.com for all of our episodes, additional content and bios, and extra SFU content. You can hit us up at Secret Friends U, me at Quintessential Geek or QT Geek on Twitter. We have at Petrus Aquinas. Peter,
Wow.
I'm so sorry.
Awesome.
I messed that up so bad.
Awesome.
And then add the C3, spell it out on Twitter, and let us know how you're enjoying Star Trek.
Oh my goodness. And of course, for more about Starfleet International, please visit the Grand Petoskey over on Facebook and Twitter, giving some strong love out to our BFF Patreons and Nias family and Missy Merchant. Friends, as always, thank you for joining us. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring and to keep on trucking.
And wherever you go boldly.
Peace and long life.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.